Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Content to Play Villain. In this episode, I'll be discussing the popular cult figure, Tyler Durden, a psychopathic, immoral, and insane character from the film Fight Club. This episode will be broken down into 4 parts. Firstly, who Tyler Durden is, 2, the evil things that he did, 3, why he did those things, and 4, my opinion if the evil things he did were justified. I hope you enjoy this episode and make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get started. Tyler Durden is one of the main characters in the cult classic film, Fight Club. Played by Brad Pitt, he is the imaginary friend of the narrator through dissociative identity disorder. Tyler comes into existence when the narrator realizes that he must change his life but feels he cannot do it by himself. As a result, his troubled mind produces Tyler as his alter ego. In the film, the narrator meets Tyler on a flight that the narrator is returning home from a business trip. At first glance, he gives off a cool aura, explaining to the narrator that he's a soap salesman. They exchange contacts and the narrator begins living with him after his condominium explodes due to unknown causes. It is during this time the narrator begins living with Tyler that we begin to observe just how twisted Tyler is. While the narrator and Tyler are in the same body and mind, it's important to distinguish between the personality and characteristics of both characters. Tyler Durden is the complete opposite of the narrator. Whereas the narrator is a rational, wage-slave consumer of modern society, Tyler is a minimalist and neo-Luddite who is smart, capable, charismatic, and intuitive, which is basically everything the narrator wishes he could be. He appears to be a savior, a rebel, and an anti-conformist, which ties into his crazy actions throughout the film. Tyler greatly opposes societal programming, rampant consumerism, popular culture, and human society in the modern era. However, as the film progresses, we realize that Tyler is not a revered savior, but rather a man that proves to be more dangerous than helpful. His actions prove damaging as he commits several suspicious acts that confirm he is an outrageous villain. One of these acts is establishing a weekly meeting known as Fight Club, in which Tyler, the narrator, and other men can engage in bare-knuckle fistfights. Blood-pouring, animalistic, violent, and fist flying around. Fight Club is an immoral, violent setting where men put their physical safety at risk in an unregulated setting. We see men get massive beatdowns, losing their teeth, getting hurt, and obtaining bruises. Tyler and the narrator create Fight Club because they believe people are being forced to bottle up their frustrations and their more primal instincts, and that this is slowly killing humanity. Through fighting, they can unleash these feelings and prove their masculinity once again. But is hurting and brutalizing each other the solution to such a problem? One can strongly argue that it isn't. The members of Fight Club then go on try to pick random fights with random people by provoking them. Such actions put the physical safety of others in danger. Tyler's goal to convince the downtrodden into joining Fight Club to become more confident by using violence is wayward and downright dangerous. He turns the Fight Club into more than just a fighting group as some of his men get a very bad beating, even having some injuries that will stay with them for life. And he later turns it into some kind of cult and brainwashes them, so they will do everything he orders them to do with no questions, and later he expands it and turns it into a terrorist organization. A terrorist organization that causes some havoc throughout the country by doing terrorist acts. It is also important to note that Tyler is a master manipulator using his charm and charisma to mobilize men to fight for him. As Fight Club attains a nationwide presence, Tyler uses it to spread his anti-consumerist ideas, devising increasingly elaborate pranks on corporate America. He eventually gathers the most devoted Fight Club members and forms Project Mayhem, an organization that trains itself as an army to bring down modern civilization. With the help of Project Mayhem, Tyler plans to destroy a skyscraper and a national museum using homemade explosives. Tyler plans to die alongside the narrator as a martyr during the event. By this action alone, Tyler can be defined as a terrorist and an anarchist. He wants a world of mayhem and dysfunction as he believes this is the world men should truly live in. It's not just the manipulation Tyler has on people, but the manipulation he has on the narrator. As time passes by, Tyler grew more skilled, stronger, faster, and tougher, symbolizing the growth of Tyler's psyche gaining more influence over the narrator's mind. The narrator eventually saw this as a hostile takeover of his own mind. The narrator soon becomes aware of Tyler's true nature and finally discovers that he is a figment of his own imagination. As he attempts to undo Tyler's actions, Tyler severely beats him before tying him to a chair and threatening him with a gun. However, the narrator realizes that if the gun is in Tyler's hand, it must in fact be in his own hand. He then proceeds to shoot himself in the mouth but imagines shooting himself in the head. As a result, a large bullet wound immediately appears in Tyler's head and supposedly puts an immediate end to his existence. Tyler is also a hypocrite. He talks about how modern society has taken most men and turned them into nothing but servants who exist only to follow orders. He then proceeds to do exactly the same with those who join him, as he insults them and breaks them down to be nothing but loyal followers who will follow him without question. Tyler's reach and influence had spread across the country by the end of the film, with people doing what he wanted. Then there's the whole situation with Marla, where Tyler had sex with Marla, aware that the narrator has feelings for her. So he tries to separate them throughout the film, nearly succeeding. He destroyed credit card buildings, which will drive society into chaos and even collapse the economy, leading to many people losing their jobs and their money. Overall, he will cause harm to many people, even destroying their lives, through this act. He is an extremist because he believes that the only way to be free is to give up everything you own. He does seem to care about how people are unhappy and overtaken by consumerism, and while he will set the country or the world into chaos and does love chaos and destroying things throughout the movies, he does also believe that this will end up freeing people and bringing out their true nature, and he is somewhat right about that. Overall, Tyler can be described as a terrorist, anarchist, and manipulator. Now, why was Tyler content to play villain? In other words, why did Tyler perform his acts of evil? There are many theories about Fight Club and why Tyler is the way he is. I'll give my opinion. It's important to note that Tyler and the narrator share the same mind and body. Tyler is a creation of the narrator. The narrator's mind formed a new personality that was able to escape from the issues that plagued his life. The character, Tyler, that he created is the repressed and idealized person that the narrator wants to become. The narrator wants to blow things up, cause mayhem and rebel against society because he's sick of it, but he either lacks the confidence to do so or he knows there would be serious repercussions for his actions. Tyler represented the narrator's satirical view on society. The narrator truly wants to commit crime and become a villain but can't do so. Were Tyler's acts justified? Some say Tyler Durden stood for individual freedom, even though his methods may seem extreme. He was a manifestation of the unspoken desires one has. He stood against the system which not only is oppressive over the majority of the people but also justifies its oppression and even makes the oppressed believe in its righteousness. Because of his hatred of how society was run, he sought to change it through his means, and that's why he was content to play villain.